All right, here we are once again, going live. I'm going live. I'm going live. I'm live now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and those of nondescript gender. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. You know, it's more than just astrology, right? And that the planets don't make you do anything. That we live in a cooperation with the cosmos. When the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that by way of aspects and angles in astrology. You are not a puppet. Unless you want to be. Dangling from somebody's strings. I don't think so. That's disempowerment. Today we're talking about the Venus in retrograde, and not just that. I'm going to give you a little glimpse into the future, and we're going to look at all the retrogrades that are coming up. June's going to be a humdinger, a real happy time of inner reflection. Yeah, that's what we all want to do, right? We all want to reflect. I don't think so. I got my magic wand here. I'm waiting. Come join me. Say hello. And I pulled some cards earlier, did a little meditation. And I asked the fairies, did they want to join in? And they did. And I asked the goddesses, did they want to chime in, since we're talking about Venus in retrograde? And they do. So we have lots to talk about today. Come and say hello to me. I've been watching, my husband sent me a video a couple weeks ago of John Krasinski. He is now moved up in ranks to my second husband. He would be, let's see, Bradley Cooper is now demoted. And so is Legolas. No, not Orlando Bloom, Legolas. So they're down on the ladder now. But I'm going to type in, just in case. Sometimes I don't see a lot of the posts or messages until I actually say something first. Come say hello to me. Bienvenue, come on in. So, hi, Linda. I, was watching John Krasinski. We decided, my husband and I, of course, we have humor and laughter because my husband is a former stand-up and I am a latent stand-up. Hey, wait a second. I know how to stand up. And I'm in the country in England. I'm in Hertfordshire, perhaps Surrey. I don't know. I've got a lovely springtime behind me. Yeah. And anyway, so we decided that no matter what we were doing, playing Rummy Cube at night or Sequence or watching Ozark, no spoilers, we finished it. Things like that. We would end on a happy note. So we started watching Graham Norton's show, James Corden, but mostly Graham Norton, Impressions. I love Impressionists. And then we watched Some Good News, SGN, with John Krasinski. So look him up on, I'll also post a link to the video on my page. He does one a week, and he had a virtual prom for the kids that can't make it. So, yeah, Billie Eilish sang, Brad Pitt gave the weather report. It was funny. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about is Venus in retrograde. But then I thought, well, let me just project with my computer program into the future a little bit so that we can see what's coming up and how we can prepare as best we can for the tides that are changing very rapidly. And I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're being healthy and smart and doing what you need to do, contributing in whatever way you can to people in the neighborhood, to people online, to those that you cannot connect with in person. And remember that we are always going through a cycle of growth and rebirth. That's what spring represents in the Northern Hemisphere. That's what Easter represents. That's what Passover represents. And there's many different Easter celebrations. It's not just one. Yesterday, in fact, was the Orthodox Easter celebration for Armenian, Russian, Greeks. And no matter what you celebrate, even if you don't celebrate anything religious, the cycle of growth, birth, growth, death, rebirth is a constant. That's biology, and you are a biological being. But when it comes to adding on to consciousness, karma, and what you can do to use some of that compassion in the world, I look at what's going on in the stars. And remember, folks, the planets aren't doing it to you. No, indeed, they are not. But what I saw made me say, oh, wow, okay, there's lots to talk about. And I'm going to get started right away. So Venus is a planet that represents love, beauty, art, romance, finances, protection, and food, and that inner sense of self-worth. So when the Venus planet, the only one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Venus planet goes retrograde, it is an indication it's not doing it to you. It is our perception from the Earth looking out at Venus that there is an occurrence happening, a celestial event. And from our perspective, it's almost like a race around the sun. So here's the Earth moving on its ecliptic plane around the sun. And then there's Venus, but then we're going a little different speed. And it looks like Venus is going backwards while the Earth is moving forward. It's perception. It's all about perception. So when I look at the type of perception based on what the representation is, and Venus represents sex, love, romance, but also finances and the economy. Yep. And the Greek word economy means knowing how to keep house. You know how to keep house. So when Venus is retrograde, May 12th through June, we're also collaborating with Mercury in retrograde in Cancer. So Venus represents the part of you that is ready to find your empowerment. That is ready. But first you have to discover what the disempowerment is all about. Do you feel disempowered in your relationship, in your own self-worth, in your image, how you look, in your finances? Are you in a deficit? Are you ignorant of how finances work? We don't all know, and we don't all want to know. If we've got someone to take care of us, it's like, well, I don't have to learn about numbers, or I'll just, know the basics, write out the check and that kind of thing. So when you're looking at where Venus lands in your world, I've been doing research on this for many years, and I didn't have my notes in front of me. But so here's what it looks like. And I'm going to have to move this up. These are the dates. And hang on, love. There. Wait. Okay, so do we see that? My beautiful English country background. So this is what Venus looks like. It makes a 5-pointed star, a pentagram, a lotus petal, and it hits the same 5 points as it comes in to the sun, revolves around again in the universe on its ecliptic plane, and it goes around and around. And when it does, and it conjuncts the sun within 8 degrees, and then each time it does, it hits the same 5 places in your natal chart for your entire life. Yes, it does. It's pretty fascinating. And what it oh, wait, I just disappeared. That's me in tech. That's my technology. Hey, I'm magical. What it represents, let me get rid of that. I have to hit the right one. Okay. So it can, let me just move out of the way here. What it represents is feminine nature. And you can be a man, you can be gay, you can be trans neutral, gender non-specific. It represents the part of you that has female relationships, a best friend, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a lover. And also your inner feminine, sensitive, receptive, allowing self. Okay? It could be generational. Could deal back with 7 generations of women in your family. It could be dealing with how you perceive your finances, what you know about money, where it goes, how it comes back, how it's accrued, how it, what's the eighth wonder of the world? Compound interest. Yeah, it is. It's a proven fact. Romance. Who are you in a relationship? Who are you when you're not in a relationship? And if there's a big discrepancy, okay, yeah, we need to take a look at that. Your self-worth, your creative expression. Let me see if I can move this thing up. Hang on. There it is. Let me get it up behind me. There we go. Now, protection and defense, it can mean the military. Women in the military, defending your own personal nature, your sense of self, physical defense, emotional defense, defensive nature. As Venus is the celestial guide for Taurus and for Libra, we can see those signs as being very dogmatic at times, very stubborn, very pleasant outwardly, and then holding in the anger so as not to cause harm, but can be very controlling, right? So that's a Venus energy. Romance, who you are, how you express yourself, physical healing as well. And it can be breast cancer, and men, 1% of breast cancer people are men. Yeah, because it's estrogen related. So it's not just for women. Again, it can be the time that you're ready to move to the next level of your being through a healing, through protection, through defense, through the mechanisms of opening and allowing something to come your way, so that you can grow and become that next person. So think about your creative expression. That includes cooking as well. Venus goes retrograde on May 12th, but we're already in the pre-phase, and that shadow phase has so much to do with, I just want to make sure that my phone is unhooked, and I asked my husband to take care of that. Thanks, Dean. So the healing phase that we go through. And so I posted these dates so you can take a look, go back in time so that you can actually look forward to what might occur. The last time Venus was retrograde, in Gemini was May through June of 2012. What was that like for you? How did that feel? What came up? What were the instances? And it's not always a negative thing. It can be neutral. For some people, it can be an opportunity comes your way via a woman, a healing advice, support, or a point of view that you have been needing but not seeing somehow, right? So let me just get rid of this. Make sense? Let me check in and say hello to folks. Hey, who's here today? Hello, Christine. You made it live. Happy Monday, Teresa. Sacred feminine. That's a wonderful thing. Excuse me. I'm going to have my tea. Okay. Now I want to show you something that's pretty fantastic. When I look at future trends in astrology, I'm also looking at the energy of, the collective, let's call it, because, in a general astrological reading, and remember, folks, the planets are not doing anything to you, so you're not beholden to anything but your own choices. And when I look at the collective energy now with Venus going retrograde, at first it was, okay, so people are ready to go in and find where they are feeling disempowered, where they disempower themselves, where they self-sabotage, where they undervalue who they are. And then I went a little further in time, and it's like, and then Mercury in retrograde is going to combine with the Venus in retrograde in June, and that's going to be a lot about mental perceptions. Mercury represents communication, but on the inside first. Before you even open your mouth to speak or sign, you are creating synapses that formulate your beliefs. And so what does that look like for you? In the end of June, Mercury will go retrograde first in Cancer, then back up into Gemini. But as it does, it's going to point out where you don't feel nurtured, nourished, or where you feel abandoned. Now we couple that with the Venus in retrograde. Excuse me. is where we look at how do we feel about our worth? What's my purpose? What the bleep am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's happening? Why is it happening? And we look at, they did this. So-and-so's responsible. It's the party. It's those people. It's that community. It's that virus. It's that thing. It's always going to be something. But retrograde energy asks you, it's Latin, it means to step back. So it's asking you to turn around and look within. How are you, part of the collective, going to contribute something more positive in the future to help up the vibe and frequency? Up your vibe. That's what we want to do, right? Up the vibe. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's take a look at what's coming up. Okie dokies. Oh my goodness, what's all this? Well, okay, I fast forwarded through my astrology program that what does it look like with a bunch of retrogrades? Now, all of these are going to be in play May through June, and then some are added on in combinations. So let's just start now through July, and then we're going to have eclipses, and I'll talk about that in a few weeks. But look, let me just make this a little bit bigger, and then you can really see. I'll just lean over here. All right, we've got the South Node and the North Node. Look there's Mercury up at the top of the screen in Cancer by the time we're in June. This is what's happening. And Venus is retrograde. And let me move this up so I can point. And see that's Mars and Neptune in Pisces within 4 degrees. That's going to be potent. That's going to be dreams, ideal visions, acting on, or creating addictions, breaking addictions. And that can include religious addiction. That can include political addiction. That can include physical, chemical, spiritual, any kind of addiction, sexual addiction. It's about creating a new vision during this time of, oopsie, I'm out of frame, all those retrogrades over in the corner as well. And we've got Venus retrograde up top, and Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mercury. Okay? By the time we're in June, what we're looking at, I don't know why this isn't going behind me when the other one did. Okay, let me see if I can move this. Nope, that's not it. See if I move this up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it can go. No, that's me. This is me learning technology as I go along, folks, okay? Figuring it out. Okay, so with all of this happening, and there's Neptune and Mars in Pisces. Over here, we've got Saturn, and then next to that is Jupiter and then Pluto, and all retrograde. What does that mean? What does that look like? To me, it looks like inner chaos for a lot of people. We already see what this particular mandate of lockdown, stay at home has done. But we don't, that's narrow focus if we're just looking at that. You want to back up. Biology is always happening. Chemistry is always happening. Stuff is always happening in this world and has for thousands of years. You are not a victim. But right now we're super hyper focused on, there's a lot of illness, there's death, you can contract this disease, this virus by doing certain things or not doing certain things. You can stay safe. Okay, great. That's the mental awareness of the sign of the times right now. But the bigger picture is when you are taken out of your element and your routine, who are you then? Who are you then? That's the question. So what happens now when Saturn represents, there's Saturn over there. Saturn represents in Aquarius, mind you, until July 2nd, then it retrogrades back into Capricorn. So Saturn in Aquarius is, where is your wisdom? Who's the authority over you? How would you like your life to look? What is your maturation level? You're growing now. You're growing. How would you like your life to look? And so Jupiter, right next to there in Capricorn, retrograde, by the time we are in full swing, May and June and July, what does that mean? Well, Jupiter represents your expansion. It represents your benevolence, your generosity, also your extreme behavior. Oh, I can have 10 more cookies. It's okay. I'll start dieting tomorrow, even though my doctor said, diabetes runs in my family. I'll be okay. So there's a mental expansion contraction. It's a part of you that says, I can do this if I want to, because it's me and I deserve it and I had to leave work so there's the justification of your situation that will be happening. But remember, watch the extremes. Opportunities can come your way if you allow yourself to be in the moment. And in that moment, you always want to be as present as possible. Christine says South Node in retro. The nodes are always pretty much in retrograde, 6 months, half the time. And it's just about you moving backwards and looking back 19-ish years, depending on who you are and who you were at that time. And now where are you going? Where do you want to go now? Before you can go that way, you have to bridge the gap between here and there, right? And then Pluto in Capricorn in retrograde, right there at the end. I'm trying to figure out how, there we go. Pluto. Pluto looks like a with a circle. Okay. And I'm just going to get rid of this now because, now back to me in the studio in my lovely English garden. And way beyond there are the moors, and I'm going to drink some foliage. Okay. I needed some springtime. I've been having the red rocks behind me, which I love because it's where I live, but I needed some springtime behind me. Thank you. So I think it's important that you think about when certain reasoning comes into play and you say, well, I deserve, or I'm so sad because of, or I'm angry because of, or now I'm confused. Now what do I do? That's okay. You need to feel your feelings. I spoke with someone yesterday, a client who is very intuitive and who is not always comfortable expressing their feelings. And they said to me, well, what happens when, I feel this feeling, I want to cry all the time? And I said, well, it sounds like what you do instead of crying is start giving. You give to other people. What about you? Giving yourself, but I don't like the feeling, and of course not. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to feel crappy, to feel sad, to feel depressed, to feel angry, to feel confused or doubtful about anything, the next moment, next day, the future, what's it going to do, what's going to happen. So now your disempowerment shows itself. I say that to you and I said it to her. And how can you empower yourself right now? What are some things you absolutely love? I'm asking you right now. This is what I asked her, my client, but I'm asking you. What are some things you absolutely love to do? Do you love to write, read, draw, paint, cook? Do you love comedy? Do you love to grow things? What do you love? What gives you joy? And if you are in that moment of a joyful experience, whatever it is, I knew someone who loved to vacuum every day. Every day. It's like, really? It's like, yes, helps you take my mind off of things. I'm like, okay, I get it. Every day. So when you're in that space of something that gives you joy, even if it's just for a few minutes, what you do is you become timeless. And in a timeless moment, that's the ideal retrograde energy experience. In a timeless moment, you can find your total power. You combine and align body, mind, spirit. You put them together and you go, oh, wow, spirit's inspired. I'm doing this thing. My mind is going to map it out. My body's going to act it out. And when you do that, you have cohesion. You have the moment. And in that moment, it is the greatest potential ever, because then from there you create your next moment. Does that make sense? Little light convo today. I'll be back on Thursday, by the way. And I pulled some cards this morning. I was doing a meditation, and our kid called from college. The college cosmic kid called. Alliteration. Our college cosmic kid called, who was in art school, and said, I'm so sick of the pressure and drawing and art. And and we said, we totally get it. What makes you happy right now? And it's like planting a little garden. Then plant a little garden. Plant a little garden and make yourself happy. And they said, you know what? I just wanted to call when I wasn't feeling down or sad or depressed and let you know that, I do feel happy at times. I do feel grateful, and I really miss you guys. And we were like, okay, this is the child we raised, who is in a Aquarius rising, Saturn in Aquarius maturation phase, going to the next level of adulthood and letting us know, I'm okay, Mom and Dad. Sometimes I call and I cry and I whine and I complain, and the homework and the this and the thing and the masks and the whatever, the lines at the supermarket. But you know what? I'm so grateful for you guys, and I miss you guys. We hung up. When we hung up the phone, we were like, wow, that was amazing to witness. Something that you want to see in yourself, in others, and people you raise, people you know, where they come to a new place of understanding of, I have some kind of power over the way I feel. And I can make a choice and a decision, and I can express myself in a way that expresses gratitude and compassion for others. Okay? So, it being a Venus retrograde vibe right now, we're in the shadow phase. May 12th is when it begins. I decided to go to Colette Baron Reid's Goddess Power Oracle cards. And I was called to pull several. And one of them is Gaia, the Earth. Now, it may be green because I have a green screen. Oh, look at that. We can see how beautiful. Gaia, being grounded, eating sustainable, healthy foods, not going to extremes with your health, and finding that stability of groundedness within you right now. Because it even asks, what form does your life take? This is the perfect time to take a closer look to ensure you're happy with it. You're asked to examine the foundation of what you are building now. I love that. Okay, what are you building now? Because this is the new normal, and it will continue to change. And the information that I got from my higher ups, my starseed and light workers, and my dad, is that we have 4 more waves before we get straightened out into the new, the new trajectory. So what can you do in the meantime? And how long those waves will last, we don't know yet. Or I have not tuned into that yet. But we're in the first wave. And so the first wave is the, cha-ching, we just jumped tracks. It feels crazy. It feels wacky. It feels uncomfortable. It feels scary. It feels threatening. It feels disempowering. So with Venus going retrograde, it represents on the collective, where do you feel like your rights have been taken away, your power has been taken, the defense system is down, you're raw, you're naked, you're vulnerable. But what can you do in a situation like that? You can do a lot. You can be as present as you can be in the moment. You can actualize a thing of beauty by focusing on at least one joy, 30 minutes, 3 times a day. What can that be for you? What would you like that to be for you? Okay, so the next card I pulled was Mama Kocha. And this is an Incan goddess, Mama Kocha. Beautiful. Water. Water is fluid and passes through the cracks, around the imperfections, and through all of the stuck places. And it promises a return. And so it says the answer to your question lies in determining what form of water reveals the condition of your life, and then recognizing the next evolution of your life's potential. Ebb and flow. We're in an ebb and flow stage. We've got earth, Gaia. We've got water. Giving you that, okay, unlimited potential comes to you when you start to focus within, going within. And then the third card that I pulled, we have to have this. Remember what I said up top? We've been seeing something funny every night on YouTube just to lighten up the vibe. Because you may say, oh, wait a minute, how does me watching a comedy show or video or something, how does that do anything outside these four walls? Well, it does, because you add to the collective unconscious vibration. It is a whole matrix. There's a grid. There's many grids, actually, but one of the earth grids is uplifted by laughter, benevolence, compassion, self-love, agape, giving without expectation of receiving. That strengthens and highlights the grid of the earth. What brings it down in contrast is the fear, the doubt, the worry, the woe is me, the not enoughs, the harm caused to self and others. So the last card I pulled was Azumi. Humor, empowerment, Japanese goddess of laughter and mirth. Come on, how could you not smile looking at that beautiful face? Now is the time for you to be silly, to take up laughing yoga. That's what it says in the book. Yes, the world is serious and your dreams and desires are too, but the joyful goddess Izumi reminds you to enjoy your life and to have fun. It's okay to have fun when there is trauma. You know why? Because there's always trauma. There's always going to be some form of trauma because life is finite on this earth. People will come to me, or I've met people in the past who were debating on having a reading and they would say, I don't want to hear anything bad. And I'll say, well, what is bad mean to you? And they'll say, I don't want to know if I'm going to die. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're all going to die. We are all going to die. That is an absolute. That's a given. We know this. Everything dies. Everything that lives dies. Plants die. Trees die. Crops die. People die. Now, what people really mean is, I don't want to know that trauma is about to fall on my head from some unknown outside source. I don't want to know because I'm scared to death that I don't know how to deal with it and I'm terrified of dying. Spring reminds us that after a cold, hard winter and the ground is cracked and the weather is just starting to warm up, but it's still chilly, that there is renewal at hand. And what helps to get you through those moments is humor. And it's okay. It's not disrespectful to the people who are undergoing absolute tragedy right now. It actually supports them energetically. Not to laugh at them. No, it's to laugh, to fill yourself with joy, because then you fill the room with joy. And then that wave moves out into the universe. And then I feel it. And then they feel it. And then someone feels, okay, I somehow feel better. I don't know why, what just happened, but I'm at peace now with who I am and what is occurring, because we are always going to be experiencing something in this world. And I posted a video. My husband is the senior copywriter for a company called ClickFunnels, and Russell Brunson is the owner of that company. And he's a brilliant young marketer. And he has a video that I put on my Facebook page. And it's true what he says, and he's just quoting C.S. Lewis, the author, that there's always something wanting to oppress you. There's always something. But you are something too. And boy, are you something. You are awesome. You are powerful. You are pure conscious love. And you have the power to lift your vibe in a moment to create a change of mood. And that mood becomes your auric presence. And it filters out into the world. And then some people you don't even know can exhale. You're that powerful. Hey, Dean, if you're listening, can you please find the link to the Venus retrograde reading? I am offering Venus in retrograde sessions, and I'm now adding on Mercury in retrograde to that reading and the initial eclipse phase and what it means for everyone. It's approximately 60 to 75 minutes of a session, depending on if I've just read you, and how to become more empowered, specifics on exactly what to do to fine-tune and recalibrate your direction and your trajectory so that you can become that person that you came to this earth to be. That is the reason we are all here, really. We are here to serve, but not at the sake of ourselves. So how would you like to contribute? What would you like to do in the next hour? Even if you're watching this in a replay on Facebook or on YouTube, what would you like to do right now in this moment to lift your vibe so that you can exhale some joy into the world? It doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of time. It just needs your focus. Does that make sense? I'm going to just tune in. Come say hello to me. We're talking about the Venus going retrograde and a whole lot of other retrogrades coming up, which we're mostly in the energy of right now. So how does it look? How does it look for you? What are you doing for yourself right now? That's what I want to know. Now, there's a 10-second delay between what I say and what you hear. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to actually post. What is it that you're doing to up your own vibe? Because this is the present normal, right? And there's no such thing as good or bad. Yeah, things are crappy. Things feel bad. Things are tragic. Things can be terrible. There are deaths. There are births. There's suffering and struggle. The whole point of your job, people say, what's my purpose? Oh my God, I'm home now. And now I guess I'll sweep. I'll clean out the closets. I'll bake. Now what do I do? Well, in the case of one client I read this week who said, okay, my intuition is opening up. And I said, well, that's beautiful. What's the issue? Well, I don't know my purpose. I don't know why I'm here. And that can feel daunting when you think, look at those people. They just made $1 bazillion. They won an award. They're top of their food chain. They're, president of the company. They have a voice. I'm not them. You don't have to be on stage to be empowered. You don't have to be making a crap ton of cash to be empowered. But what happens is when you are empowered, those opportunities come to you more readily. And then it's just a matter of choice. Yeah, I want to do that. Nah, I don't want to do that. Because the choice is yours. It always has been, Dorothy. Click your heels 3 times. You can always go home. And home is here. Here, here, here. Okay? So Vicky says, listening to you is helping at this moment. Well, I'm so happy. Do something wonderful for yourself. And it's not a negative, selfish thing. It's, I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano. I have a piano on the other side of my room, and I just, I put it aside. It's collecting dust. It has pictures on it and some candles. Okay, well, go start something. The self-motivation that comes up in a retrograde is usually, starts off with a lack of motivation, like apathy. So if you start to move and slide into the mud and say, why bother? That's when you need to grab yourself by the shoulders and say, you came to this earth as a miracle. You are a miracle. What do I want to do? I think thoughts, 1 billion thoughts a second. What if I focused 10 of those thoughts on something that gave me joy and made me smile? Decoupage, knitting, macrame, gardening. I took great pleasure in repotting some plants the other day. I just needed I looked at my husband, we work 7 days a week, and I said to my husband, I'm not working today, even though I love working, and it's my joy, and I'm working on a masterclass, Astro Masterclass, that soon to be announced, but I thought, okay, I just need the soil. As a Taurus Capricorn rising, I need the soil. And I looked at the tiny little succulent plants and trimming them and repotting and cleaning and wiping and, just giving them life. I felt more alive. The Portulacaria, we can't do jade out here in the high desert, but Portulacaria comes close. And so, this was like, that's what it looked like in the pot. So I took it out, redid the roots, gave it life, put life into something that gives you joy. And then I baked the best keto chocolate crunch cake ever. 1 carb a slice. Yeah, no sugar. Fantastic. I've outdone myself. Now I'm like, okay, I'm good. I put the towel over my shoulder, wipe my hands. It's like, yeah, I feel so great. And I didn't solve crime. I didn't win an award. It's just me and my husband. So what can you do? Really, because understanding that emotions change, they move like fish. Every time you change your thoughts, there's an emotion attached to it and it goes with it. So you can ride that negative wave into doom and gloom and tragedy and trauma and struggle and the locusts. Or you can forget your troubles, come on, get happy. That's what we've got. We've got earth. We've got wind and fire, ladies and gentlemen. No, we don't. We have water. We have humor. Something takes you to the next moment, and one moment can last an hour, a day, a week, a lifetime. Christine says, I have been coming to realize everything I have already manifested. So grateful. Beautiful. Keep going. Think about that. I'll be back on Thursday, and think about the special Venus in retrograde session that I'm offering, because I'm also adding onto it a whole lot of other bonuses. Mercury in retrograde, what to expect, how to move your thoughts, how to get out of that rut, how to change that habit. But you gotta wanna. I think George Carlin was the one who said that. You gotta wanna. Do you wanna? Do you wanna dance? It's up to you. I'll be back on Thursday, and we're going to talk more about you. Yeah, you. So, my friends, stay sparkly, be healthy, and then the wisdom follows. Be well. I'll see you then.